So good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday. It's 10 o'clock. We're going to do this every week. Welcome to the Event Guys live stream.
Number two. Podcast number two. We made it.
That's right.
2 in a row.
We're as we do this, we're working on the technical side, making sure it's all flowing right. We'll get better every week, but I do believe we are live on Facebook in a few different places. My page, your page, the E3 Detroit page. We'll see where else we end up going over time. But we're going to talk about predominantly weddings, but events in general, our jobs, our industry, interact with a lot of our colleagues out there, hopefully grow our audience, and just have a whole bunch of fun. For those that may ever watch this on evergreen content on YouTube or wherever, my name is Derek. I own E3 Detroit. We do live entertainment, live bands, DJs, custom groups, all that kind of stuff. You are Mike Pereno.
From Killer Creations, Photography and Films, we do all sorts of live events in the photo and video world. Cascade Creative also in the commercial and corporate world as well. So,
boom. So yeah, we're going to talk about on this show, or whatever we want to call it here, what's working, what's outdated, what couples are getting wrong or doing right, what vendors are doing wrong or getting right, what makes awesome events, and then whatever else comes up, just our real experiences. We'll talk about what we've done, what we've seen, what works, and we'll have some fun doing it. Today, we're going to go deep. Our deep dive topic is, should photographers and videographers follow a shot list given to them by their clients, or should they just throw it out the window, ignore it, and use their own experience and expertise to, make something awesome happen? So we're going to say, you're going to dive into that one. We'll also talk about some rapid fire stuff. The bouquet and the garter toss. Is it a dead trend?
Dead trends.
I'm going to ask you about some photo trends that are hot right now. We're going to talk about taking song requests from drunk people, because I just
drunk
had that.
uncle.
Or
did that happen recently?
Fraternity brother. Yeah. And also on travel as event profs, how far do you travel before you start charging? Hey, Jesse Spielman's out there watching us. Jesse, what's up, my man? It's good to see you.
What's going on?
Yeah. By all means, if you are watching, comment, say hello, chime in when we have our topics going. And we would love to get some interaction going. So, all right. So let's get into the first topic. And
topic number one.
Yep. Should photographers and videographers follow a shot list? So a client submits their list of shots that they saw on Pinterest or on some TikTok trend.
Right. Yes.
But as a videographer, as a photographer, and you are both, so you can. Oh, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that, Jesse. You know me. I'm always rocking the old English D. Should you follow those? When should you follow those? And when should you, as a storyteller, just kind of throw it out the window? Maybe use it as a guide,
right?
But not follow list bullet point after bullet point and do it. Like basically shot list versus documentary style, kind of how that works. So, Mike, dive deep. Talk to me, baby.
Yes, great. Yeah, awesome topic. Kind of split the difference. You got to walk a tight line on this one. I feel like there are probably people in both camps, so chime in depending on where you're at and what you're doing out there. I think it's important to do a little bit of both. So first of all, if a client gives you a shot list, it doesn't necessarily mean they don't trust you. It means that they have a vision for their day. So it's really like a signpost. So anytime anybody gives you something, you want to acknowledge that and say, hey, thanks for the input. It's a team effort. It's their event. They have a vision for it. So you want to look that over, acknowledge it, and really use it as what I say is like a point of departure. So you don't want to just maybe like plagiarize, because sometimes, and in like the Pinterest world, people will, this is where it can get dangerous. People in the Pinterest world, they'll be like, hey, we're having a wedding downtown Detroit. It's going to be amazing. Here's our Pinterest board. And it'll have shots on the mountain, shots on the beach, shots in the forest, all of this stuff. And you're like, those are beautiful shots and I love them. They're so great. But you're going to be in the middle of Detroit, a very metropolitan, concrete area. So those aren't going to work. But if do you like the pose? Do you like the lighting? What do you love about these shots? And really, it's a good glimpse into what the client is saying, what the bride or groom is saying, and how they want their wedding or event documented. So I think it's important to utilize it, as a springboard, but then, you really do want to document whatever's happening. Because if you're looking down at your phone all the time and you have to pull it out and scroll around and figure out what the heck the next shot's going to be, you're going to miss stuff. So, maybe you have a second shooter deal with those specific shots, or you even just put it into your wedding timeline and your plan to make sure you hit those. That works well, but you don't want to get distracted. Getting distracted by, shiny things can be a bad thing while you're filming or photographing a wedding.
All right. So I have a question. Do you often have wedding planners who, through no malicious intent or no fault of their own, but they're trying to be as organized as possible? Do you have planners who have a printed out, bullet pointed list of shots the bride and groom asked for, and they're trying to dictate to you, okay, now get this, now get this, now get this, and you're trying to say like, hold on. Like, does that ever happen where you have to work with the wedding planner to try to manage that?
It's happened in the past, and it can be frustrating. I do love it when the wedding planner is literally right there. So let's say you have a huge event, 300-400 people, and then they're having post-ceremony family formal. So the group shots of extended family, aunts and uncles, cousins, literally 20, sometimes 30 groups. If they're going to call them out and go through a list, that's exactly when I want them to do it. So that's perfect. Have a shot list then. If there's anything kind of out of the norm, sometimes you have Uncle so-and-so in from Alaska that, isn't necessarily part of every group shot. So he's going to be here. So make a note, things that are outside the norm. I've been doing this for 20 years now. So I think I have maybe 800 weddings or more under my belt, and it is nice to have help from the planners in that instance. And most of the time, because we work with a lot of the same awesome people over and over again, we have a lot of friends in the industry, we're going to get this list ahead of time. They're going to send it to us. We'll figure out, okay, it's got this many groups, so we need this much time to do that. Do we have that much time afterwards? Yes, perfect, great. And then we roll into cocktail hour. We do a bit of travel as well, so events all over the country. Sometimes destination planners can be a little more, distant or frazzled because they're dealing with a lot more details and traveling and actually getting there and bringing stuff. So sometimes you don't even get that list until the day of or the day before. It's like midnight and you accidentally check your email and then you got a list from the planner and they're like, hey, by the way, I should have sent this to you a month ago, but I didn't because I forgot or whatever it is. Here's the list. But we've been doing it long enough. I always joke, like, I could just wake up. If you tell me the time to be at the wedding and when it's going to end, we'll be able to cover it adequately, and not only meet your expectations, but far exceed them, just because we've been doing it so long. And most of the time, if you're aware and you're paying attention to whatever's going on around you, you can figure out that, these people are standing around waiting for a photo. So, hey, you guys just come on up and jump on in there. There's a lot of I got to go with the flow, but you also have to kind of corral some of the craziness too.
In this day and age where, like YouTube is so much more prevalent as a delivery vehicle. Well, like all social media is. Facebook, video as a piece of content is way more deliverable than it was back in the day when
Right.
it was a VHS tape. And the only time somebody would see it is if they came to your house and you pulled it out, and you never did that. So now you can deliver it. Did that like evolution impact how you tell your stories? Meaning, like, did the documentary style evolve along with the ability to deliver that video versus like how it used to be the shot list, or how did that really impact you guys?
Whew, I don't know. Great question. I don't know if I have the right answer for that, but I think being able to see more inspires more people. So let's say there's a bunch of wedding filmmakers out there and everyone's delivering just to the clients' homes. So you don't even see what these other people are doing. Now everyone's posting it. It's on social media. It's all over the internet. So you can get more inspiration and you can learn from people. There's a lot of instructionals and things, or just literally watching films teaches how to do it. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I think that openness helps everybody grow to become a better professional too. So there's more things you can add to your shot list or your wedding day catalog, essentially, because, hey, I didn't think of that. Let's add that to our canon of things we do. So I don't necessarily think working off a shot list is always the best thing, like I said, because you can limit creativity. But if, you go blank and you're tired and you're hungry and you haven't eaten in 12 hours, having that shot list there, or even just like a catalog of things like, oh yeah, it'd be cool if we did this here. That's a great, great option to have. And
Yeah.
sometimes you stumble across those in other films and other, ideas and things like that.
What do you recommend, like after the ceremony and cocktail hours, getting ready to? Well, either sometimes there's a few hours between. Sometimes they go right into it. But like how deep, in your honest opinion, just in your experience, how deep do you recommend brides and brides, grooms and grooms, clients, and wedded couples go in the family shot list? Do you literally need to think of every possible combination and get them all, or do you really think it's just a handful?
Yeah, so I think great question. I don't think you need every single combination, but you do want all of those, as many people in that list as possible, because they always, you're not going to see everybody together again for a really long time. So generally, I always recommend kind of like an inverted pyramid. You have the couple in the middle, parents and grandparents, if there are them, siblings, aunts and uncles and cousins. And that's pretty much like the whole family, right? One mega shot. And then you take that shot, cousins come out, take that shot, aunts and uncles come out, take that shot, parents and grandparents swooping back and forth. And then you might cycle in the group of cousins we grew up with and things like that, and just a little rotary. And then that's one side of the couples, and then the other one does the same thing and you can fly through. So that's the quick breakdown formula to get through it as fast as you can, because so we do a lot of Indian and South Asian events, and you might have 50 groups because people are coming from all over the world. So that's a different story. But
Yeah.
for kind of like your regular everyone's from here event, I recommend that formula. And then sometimes, literally after every group, I'll say freeze, look at the couple and say, are there any little call out subgroups that you want from this group? Couple usually look around. Nope, we're good. Or, yep, hey, let's kick everyone out and just do the guy cousins or the gal cousins or whatever it is. So that usually works.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna throw a out of left field here that just occurred to me. So I do obviously music, entertainment, MC stuff, and it's common that photo and video leave after typically 30 minutes of dancing, and there's usually about 2.5 more hours, 2 hours or so
Right.
after they leave.
It's
Now,
just getting crazy.
yeah. You shot video at my wedding, obviously, so it was important to me. I wanted you guys there. Like, to me, the most fun part of my video is watching the party, and not just like a general B-roll, but like seeing the moments where we see a certain person dancing and all that. But it's not common for videographers and photographers to stay, throughout the party. Do you agree that that's probably the best decision? Because I feel like I'm always bummed when I'm on stage and we're like, everybody is at the peak of the party. Every hand is up in the air, like they're going crazy. And I'm like, oh, I wish our videographer
And then
was
we're
here
like,
to capture this. And
I'm
which do not take that to mean like, I mean, you started working when the sun came up. It's not like I don't think you put your time in. I just think that's the norm, is like, hey, we're gonna leave after we got like a few good shots for some B-roll, and then that's
Right.
gonna be it. But I personally, I think that videos would be like awesome if we had you guys there right till the end of the night.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun things that can happen in there, and I think it can be really cool, but there's also the flip side of it that, like, I always say, like, okay, 30 minutes is great because you're going to get pretty much everyone in that first swoop. The dance floor fills up real quick, and then kind of the same usual characters are out there, and you might change a couple people out for drinks, and you just add sweat to them throughout the night, and then they're hot and sweaty, So I always joke that 30 minutes is plenty of blackmail to hold over all of your family and friends, which it is, but yeah, if you're going to do CO2 cannons, other traditional things, some secret stuff later on in the night, have us stick around, and it's great. And for us, 30, because we're not delivering a full run of that dance party. It's usually boiled down into just the best moments. 30 minutes is still plenty. With 2 filmmakers, that's an hour of time, and you're good to go. But at that point, so I'm going to flip this. Here's a question. So after we leave, it gets going for you guys, and I'm sure there are requests that come your way. Maybe it's not shot lists anymore. Do you guys ever deal with the drunk uncle kind of just saying, hey, you got to play this song, or interrupting sets? Or do you have any crazy stories of weird things that happened that way? Because we do sometimes deal not with drunk uncles, but with the uncle photographer or filmmaker who will literally step in front or try and sabotage what you're doing, not on purpose, but just because he has got a new camera and he wants to try it out, or literally look how good this picture is on my phone, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing, it's really great,
All right.
So does that happen to you?
Before I answer the song part of the question, I want to talk. I want to tell a story. A good friend of both of ours, a colleague, Jeffrey Lewis Bennett, JLB Weddings. We were doing a wedding together up in Grand Blanc at Warwick Hills. It was on like the house was like on the fairway there, and there was this aunt who, you know, she had just bought her first like DSLR camera,
Oh
you know, but it
yeah, I
was like
love it.
the cheap one, you know, like I don't even think the lens was interchangeable. Like it was, you know, and boy, she thought like my gift to them is going to be, I'm going to take photos. Meanwhile, they got one of the greatest photographers who's ever lived, you know,
Yeah, right.
doing shots. And I'm emceeing, you know, intros, toast, speeches, prayer, cake cutting, all that stuff, the MC stuff, right? And he's trying to get his shots, and she's standing in front of him on every shot, and he's trying to be polite. And the bride and groom didn't want her
Oh
to do
man.
this, and they're like, "We spent thousands of dollars for this guy to shoot our wedding.
Right. Yeah.
We don't want her." But she's like, "Oh, they're gonna love this."
They're gonna be so happy.
And at one point, he had to go up to her, and he tried to be polite, but at one point he walked up and he said, "Sit down." And she kind of took the hint. She sat down, you know. And
Yeah.
I always laugh. Even like this past weekend, I saw some uncle who had like what he thought was a really nice camera, and he's like wandering in and around like 7 different photo and video people to get these shots. And it's like, where is the self-awareness to look and think, you know, I probably don't need to be doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you talk to, I'll answer your question about the music in a second, but like how many times have you ever had to like deal with somebody like that?
I've had it happen quite often, you know, and as like the rise of cell phones and for a while it was iPads. Remember, like people
Oh
would
yeah.
take iPads and have this huge thing, and you'd have like 20 people bring an iPad to a wedding service, which is crazy, and then all just holding it up and blocking it. I always like to get really great shots of those people holding the camera because it's a documentary, right? It's telling the story of Aunt so and so and Uncle what's his name with these huge iPads blocking the aisle. But one time, literally during the "I pronounce you man and wife" kiss, we had like 4 or 5 people jump in and like block the center aisle completely.
Oh,
We still got the shot because I'm too tall, you reach up and get it. And then another time, the worst time, which I actually had to like literally kind of move a dude out of the way because you could see the bride like giving me the look, was they were coming down the aisle as a recessional while everyone's screaming and yelling and clapping. And then an uncle jumped in the middle and was walking backwards with them to get that shot the whole way down the aisle, right in front of myself doing photo and, you know, my team doing video. So 2 of us, and he was like at arm's length right in front of me, so we couldn't get around him. And I had to just stop while he was walking, have him bump into me and say, "Excuse me, sir, we need to get this shot." And I moved him right into the aisle, or like into the, you know, the pews or whatever.
yeah.
And the bride just kind of went like, "Thank you," you know. And then we got the shot coming down because it was only about half of the time. But yeah, people are oblivious. They're just maybe they're trying to be helpful, so helpful that they don't even realize that they're doing the complete opposite.
That's hilarious. All right, we evolved the topic a little bit. So I'm going to answer your question. But by the way, Ross Reimer, I see you up in the comments. Good to see you, buddy. Glad to have
Adam
you with us.
Luger's here too. What's up, man? Thanks for saying hello.
I love it. All of our friends. So we got a lot of your colleagues that are out. Well, mine too. But yeah, any thoughts on that? By all means, drop a comment and let us know.
Yeah,
what
I'm
you
sure
think.
it's happened to a lot of us. So like you have to like, you got to be nice and tough at the same time. Like that's where being a true professional comes in, because you can freak out and be justified, but it's not going to make the day better for anybody. So,
Right.
you know, a little smile and you can get the shot later works a lot. But yeah,
Amen.
so
Okay. So yeah, green flag or red flag, taking requests. So the question was, do we have like, you know, drunk guests or whatever that come up and try to request songs, and do we take their requests or not, or what have you?
or you just say, yeah, we'll get to it
Yeah,
later.
so don't give away my tricks, Mike. Come on. You know, I don't want people out there going, "Hey, I
I'd be
saw
so-
that podcast. I know that's what you're going to tell me."
I know.
No, we had an instance a couple weeks ago where the groom was in a fraternity at a major university. All of his fraternity brothers, most of whom were groomsmen, but also guests, were there, and so they were, you know, the bros were in the house, and the party was bumping, man. We had the full 9-piece band going. It was rocking. I was DJing in between sets. It was killing, and the dance floor was packed. And sure enough, with like an hour left to go, when that buzzed vibe is just starting to set in,
Right.
bro comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, man. Hey, Well, I'm sorry. He was yelling because it's a very loud room and there's a packed dance floor. So,
Right. So is this
hey,
while you're playing on stage or what? Like
luckily,
with,
this is why I was spinning in between sets. So
okay.
I'm
So
at my
at
ones
least
and
he's
twos.
not stepping on stage while you're,
Correct. Which I'll talk
oh
about that in
man,
a second too.
I'm
But
sure that's happened too.
yeah. So I had the headphones on and I'm like, hey, yeah, yes, sir. What can I do for you, sir? And he says, uh, hey, bro, listen, man, you got to play a song for me. And he throws up his Spotify and he shows it to me, like what the song is. He's like, Groom loves this, man. This was our song, man. You got to play this, man. And I look at it and I loosely recognized it, but it was not a hit. It was like a recent deep hip hop, incredibly vulgar, like you will never hear the song on a radio. You'll never hear the song. It's like
That's our song,
deep
man.
dive.
That's our
Yeah.
song.
And this is what I want to say about this. It's so funny in the moment like what I can't do with hundreds of people on a dance floor, loud music, I'm in front of everybody, I'm
Right.
spinning. What I cannot do is say, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that request. And while I have about 30 seconds until I need to put these headphones back on and beat mix into my next song, so I don't have the time to get into a deep conversation with you to explain why that is an incredibly inappropriate request that even though you and your boys love it, will absolutely clear the dance floor. Not only can I not say any of that because I don't have the time, you're also buzzed at the level that we will not be able to have a very interactive conversation. I can't
Right.
do any of that. So what I have to do is say, oh, all right, man, listen, I'll tell you what, I got a bunch of requests here. Band's getting ready to go back on. Let me see what I can do for you. But sometimes that's not enough. No, man, right now,
Next
go,
song.
right now.
He's
And
waiting.
yeah, and you got to figure out how to navigate around that. So in those instances, you do not take those requests, but you have to skillfully and charismatically navigate your way out of that situation. So you do
Right.
your best to say, I'll tell you what, I don't have that cued, I don't have it ready. Let me start working on it. Why don't you go back? Just keep enjoying the party. I've got it. I've got it written down. I'll
Go
see what
grab
I
a
can
drink
do. Yeah. Yeah,
of
go grab a
water
drink
and
and
just
see
sit
what you can
down in the
do.
corner there. Right.
But we've also, so like what they forget is we've got, we've always got the clipboard right there. We've done extensive amounts of conversations and meetings with these people
Right. Yeah.
to determine what they want to hear and what their family's like. And then we take that, we shape the night for it. What I
Yeah.
love is when somebody comes and requests a song that's already something we were going to play, so
You're
I
like,
can make them
"Up
feel like it was
next."
their idea. Like,
Right.
oh, that's fantastic. Uptown Funk. Why didn't I think of that? Great
Wow. Yeah. Good.
idea.
That's a good one. That'll get the people dancing.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll take requests
Nice.
from anyone if it's a good fit, and if it's not, rarely will I say no, unless they're just rude. In which case, if you're an event prof out there and you're watching this, I really, really want to hear from everybody, including you. But like when somebody's like just flat out rude to you, like this sucks, this song sucks, and I'm like, did you realize you had to wade through a packed dance floor to get to me to say that?
Right.
Which
Here's
I
a
won't
horrible
say
sign.
that. I'm thinking that. And
Right.
then they're like, you need to play something good. And I'm like, shoot, I left all my good stuff at home. All I got is this stuff that's packing the dance floor. I'll be like
Oh
a little
man.
bit of a smart aleck with them, but like if they're polite and even if they're drunk, if they're nice to me, I will do my best. And sometimes if they get an inappropriate song that they request, I can still either if I'm DJing, I can beat mix into the chorus of the song, the hook
Right.
of the song, and then spin out of it. And there's going to be a whole nother conversation. We have some YouTube videos I'll do
Right. Yeah.
talking about skillfully being able to mix songs. So that's one way I can do it. Or sometimes with live musicians, you can sing a line of a song inside of another song. So there's like
Right.
ways that you do it just long enough for that guy to turn on and be like, hey, I hear you, bro. And then you go right out of it.
Right.
So that's like, as a general rule of thumb, we're very protective of the vibe, of the party, of the experience, but we will take requests when and how we can that fit into the vibe. So
Right.
that's how we handle that.
Cool. So you do deal with it.
Yeah.
What about this? So I have a shot list that I have to deal with, and they're like, do every one of these shots. Do you ever have brides that say, here's every single song I want in an exact order I want you to play them, and then it's going to be packed and everyone's going to be great?
So that is
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's a common conversation among entertainers as to when that happens. And I think it comes down to, I don't know how to put this the best way, like a caliber of client. When you reach a certain point where you have brides and grooms, or I'm sorry, couples, whatever they happen to be, who are spending a certain amount of money, who are of a certain, caliber, they're putting together a vendor team that they know is of a certain caliber. And I think that
Right.
probably goes for you guys with Atlas. And so they trust us way more, and we have better conversations. So it happens less. On the other end of the spectrum, where it's, my friend is going to be the DJ, or this person, this guy this band we love to go see
Right.
at the bar is playing, but they don't do a lot of weddings. When you're at that end of the spectrum, I think it's more likely that they're going to try to do that. When we do have a client that tries to dictate, and it's less often that they say, here's a list of songs we need you to play. It's more often that we get them to say, here's this list of songs we don't want you to play. And it's usually
Nice.
because they've been to 20 weddings this summer that had a DJ, that they heard the exact same song in the exact same way from start to finish, and they're sick of it.
Right.
Being a live band, we do medleys, we throw in solo, we change songs up. So songs that would be maybe repetitive, you mentioned Uptown Funk earlier.
Yep.
We have a whole new arrangement to that song to make it fun and new and original, but still capture the parts of the song that people love. So when we get lists of songs, like long lists of songs they don't want played, before I say a word to them, I'll go through it and I'll try to make sure I just accept those songs that we probably weren't going to play anyway, or that
Right.
can easily be pulled.
Right.
If there are any that start to inhibit our ability to create an amazing dance party, or if there's any that I just absolutely know work amazingly well when we do them, that's when I'll go back to them and say, okay, let's talk about your do not play. And I'll ask them this question.
Right.
Is it on your do not play list because you hate the song? Or is it on your do not play list because you just feel like you've heard it a lot and want to be unique? Because they'll a
Right.
lot of times say like, oh, we actually love these songs. It's just that we've,
Hear it too much.
keep hearing it. Yeah. And that's when I'll tell them, okay, I'll tell you what, if it's okay with you, let me take it off your do not play list and let me put it in the play when and if I feel like it's the right moment to drop it and bump the party. And
Cool.
they'll be like, totally cool. And that way I know that if I do play that song, they're going to be like, okay, we got it. Yep, that was banger. That was it. But if they say, no, we hate the Black Eyed Peas. We just cannot stand the Black Eyed Peas. And for that reason, we put I Got a Feeling or any of their songs on the do not play list. And in those instances, I say, no problem. If they say,
Right.
and this is funny, this is one where it's very common these days for brides and grooms to say, do not play any line dances or any group dances. The wobble, the cha-cha slide, the Cupid shuffle, the hustle, chicken dance, hokey pokey. We don't play those anyway. We just don't. Now,
Right.
some families will come to you and say, well, but just understand, like, there's this thing that our family started where we always do the chicken dance, and we know how cheesy it is, and that's
Right.
why we love it. In which case, if they particularly say that, I'll say, okay, I got you. But otherwise, we don't
Nailed
really
it.
play it. But this past weekend, we had a wedding where they were very particular, not about the specific songs, but about the vibe. We want, we want super fun pop top 40, your
Right.
Pitbulls,
Cool.
your Chris Browns, your Ushers, and we want you to beat mix. We want you to lean into it and just have so much fun. But that's where we want you to stay. And then every once in a while, throw beat mix in a cool modern rock song. And they had a really cool list. And this older aunt comes up to me and says, I don't know if you just don't want people to dance. Meanwhile, the dance floor's packed.
Right.
But you need to play the chicken dance right now. And I said, "Ugh," I'm like, and I tried really
Right
hard.
now.
Yeah,
Have you ever been threatened with a chicken dance other than
yeah,
that one time?
yes. But so I'm like, I said, ma'am, I'm so sorry that they were very specific about not wanting to have, line dances or group dances. I totally understand where you're coming from, but
Right.
that's
You're like,
one that
I love it.
unfortunately,
It's my favorite.
yeah.
I just can't do it because I signed to this agreement.
And she was surprised. She's like, what? And I was like, yeah. I said, I'm so sorry, but I'll tell you what. I said, is there something else that maybe you like that I can try to fit in there? And
Right. Yeah.
she said, well, I like AC/DC. I said, perfect. They totally like some rock and roll. They had mentioned modern rock, but they were open to me.
Chicken
using
dance
my
to
best judgment.
AC/DC.
Yeah. So I mixed in, you shook me, and she was happy, and we made it work. So
That's awesome.
That's kind of how we take it. So every situation is different. You try to be nice. You try to be polite, be professional, but still make sure you're aware and cognizant of what's going to make the party.
So maybe there's a whole world here that you could dive into, rewriting horrible songs in the style of something that somebody wants to hear. So the chicken dance done in the style of AC/DC.
Of the Killers.
Yeah, right.
Another topic.
Another topic.
Okay, I
Boom.
want to ask you. So you are you're an expert, widely regarded as an expert in your field. What are the most requested photo trends right now? What's the shot everybody wants to get right now in 2026?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm not like the super trendiest guy. We kind of go timeless. But what's interesting. So here's a footnote on trends. Doing it long enough, you see them come back over and over again, every 5, 6, 7 years. I remember like what's cool now, and we'll get a couple of them, is like this kind of blurry motion feel on the dance floor, or even of the bride and groom kind of sweeping, through an area or something. So motion blur is really cool. And I remember, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, that was cool then too. So it's like some people are seeing it like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. No one ever thought of this. And it's like, we've already gone through this cycle a couple times. So motion blur is pretty cool. Kind of this retro feel is back, like people will ask if we do film on Super 8.
Is that a generational thing? Is that like a Gen Z thing? Is that like a hipster thing?
Maybe, yeah, because like they're kind of hearkening to when they were kids. Like, oh, when we were kids, we had this cool look or whatever it might be. But Super 8 would be way before that generation. So that'd be like when we were kids,
Right.
But it is cool to have some of that. And you can do that. I always kind of caution people against shooting on antiquated stuff because you're already cutting the quality down. You can still shoot on newer equipment with a vibe or a look or a feel like that. So, but we've had people ask. A fun one is kind of the messy detail shot. So we do detail shots, in the prep in the morning, whether it's bride stuff, groom stuff, all the details, the jewelry, the rings, all of that. Invites laid out, really cool. Now there's kind of a trend where it's like the end of the night, and this might have been last year's trend, and I'm a whole year behind, so I apologize. But I remember like people either requesting it or just seeing it and thinking it was a really neat idea. So end of the night, just like stuff splattered everywhere, shoes on the table with some drinks, half-spilled martini here, a program covered in cake, half-eaten cake, and just like some of the elegant details, but in a messy way, not necessarily perfectly styled, but just boom, kind of like sprezzatura style, where it's like perfectly disarrayed. And that's kind of a cool trend that I've seen. So a little bit different than what we've done.
You briefly touched on it a minute ago, but what do you call it where you do a top-down shot where the invitation and like
flat lays?
A flat lay. Is that like an evolution of the flat lay to like
I think so, yeah. So
lay?
Perfect. It's the messy lay. So you have the perfectly structured layout of, invites and stuff. And then that whole thing kind of goes through trends too. So it's like perfect. And then now it's like a little bit, so unperfect that it looks perfect, and then, or just messy. So now it's all the way to this messy swing of just having all these details kind of thrown in there. And it's fun. It's fun to like take a little break from people going crazy on the dance floor, grab a couple of these details, shoot some of that. And it's a nice way to kind of add a different detail that wouldn't have been captured, whether it's photo or video, and a fun way to kind of bring in kind of that closing chapter when you're telling a story on film.
Gotcha. Specifically in video, any shots that you're like always trying to make sure you capture, whether it's a trend or just something that you love? Like, is there like that super cool shot that you always make sure you guys get?
No, I mean, it's like I said, we have a semi-internal shot list where we want to make sure we're getting all these. I really like very personal messages. So I always say that, instead of just a wedding film, we're working on creating a film that tells the couple's story. So it's not just, here's a wedding day, I got dressed, you got dressed, we got married, we had a party. Like, that's cool. That's what happens. That's what everyone does. But like, you're looking for these little details inside of all that. And the bride and the groom or the couple or whoever is like helping planning, family, boom, there's a million little details, and finding those really makes it personal to the couple. So meeting ahead of time, going over things, even shot lists they might pass along, help figure that out. But I don't know if it's like, you got to get this one shot where you're getting the gimbal around the corner and, in there. I guess, earlier days of like actual like wedding filmmaking where it wasn't just old school on the shoulder or stuck on a tripod, people would always get the, when sliders were cool, like a slide out from behind the pew shot or from behind a chair, and you see the couple down there. So you get a lot of those shots still today, but really looking at connection. And I guess that's a trend too, because people want to see their families. Focusing too much on one thing and forgetting about everything else can be dangerous because you forget about all the other details that are there. So
Right, right. Are drones still a thing? Like, or do you just have all the B-roll you need from drones that you can use, or do
no,
you
we get new
still
stuff.
take them
Drones
with
are
you?
still a thing. There's more laws going these days, which makes it harder to kind of just nail anywhere you want. But like, especially with the destination events we did, we were in Montana at the end of the last season, and without drone, the film would have been half as cool. So we're
Yeah.
doing
Oh yeah.
photography and video, for drone stuff too. So it's not just video. A lot of times it used to be just video for drones. So we'll get the location shots, detail shots, both in photo and video from the drone. And even some couple shots are really fun to get from the drone, especially like you have a vista with mountains and valleys and everything. And then you get a really wide shot from the sky. Super cool, different perspective, a lot of fun to do.
Gotcha. That's cool. That's cool. Okay. Hot take. How far? We're going to change subject here. How far do you travel before you charge travel fee? So we're based in Metro Detroit, and this could be whether you're a photographer, videographer, DJ or live band, planner, whatever. How far do you travel before you implement a line item in the contract that for travel fees, and like how far do you go before you require a hotel, that kind of stuff?
Right. I guess I'll answer the second question first. So the hotel is like, usually I like to get home after an event, because a lot of times either you have an event the next day, you don't want to sleep in, or you don't want to wake up and then start the day off by driving. So usually I'll get home. But if it's like, we do up north or Traverse City area or Petoskey area, that's like just outside the reach of an easy drive on the way home. So you know, after 2.5 hours, usually require a hotel stay. Um, like I always joke, like it helps keep us alive the next day. So you get your photos and your videos, so we don't drive home half asleep or I've almost hit deer or been hit by deer coming home from late events, in the middle of some up north place. So usually about 2 hours. And that's kind of the same for travel fees too. So generally, just basic mileage. And it depends on the size of the team and things like that. So I know it's
Gotcha.
a bit different for you, because for us, it's either 2 photographers, 2 filmmakers. So that's like 2 rooms. But for you guys got a bigger crew. So and a lot more gear and a lot more automobiles and a lot more trailers. We can all fit in one car and show up and be happy. I'm sure
Yeah.
travel is a big thing. So how's that work
So
for you guys?
a long time ago, we have a couple different rules. My first rule is this: if I'm on a sales call and they ask me, I say, if I go to your event and I can turn on the TV and I can watch Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 2 news, I'm not charging you travel. Meaning if we're in the local broadcast network, that's
Right.
not travel. As soon as I'm watching somebody else's news broadcast, it's travel. But what I did is I took a map of Michigan and Illinois and Indiana and Ohio, and I started drawing like circles, like not circles, but like shapes, based on like where cities are. And we have like 3 tiers. So again, tier 1 is no travel. That's within, the local broadcast area.
Right.
Then tier 2 is where it's usually going to be more than an hour away. Now, let me clarify. I live in Belleville, which is by Ann Arbor. I can drive down to Toledo faster than I can drive to Rochester to get to the Royal Park or Meadowbrook or something like that. But
Right.
that doesn't matter. That the client, it's not their fault. I live where I live. I'm still in Metro
Right.
Detroit. I'm traveling to Metro Detroit. It is what it is. But when I travel to Jackson or Flint or Lansing or Port Huron, those are areas where we're in a different metropolitan area, and you're
Yeah,
going to pay
totally.
some travel. But usually for that first travel tier, it's going to be fuel mileage. It's like you said, we're coming home that night. It's not far enough away to get a hotel room, but I'm going to charge enough to give everybody money to cover their gas and a little bit of time.
Right.
And there's like a flat fee per person, and depending on the number of, like if it's the Day and Rafferty band, it's like 9 people plus the crew, so 10 instances of that. Then the second tier is going to be like your 2 to 3 hour travels. Like anything over 2 hours, we're going to ask for hotel rooms. If we're on site for 10 to 12 hours and we've been on stage
Yeah, and you
rocking
guys
for
get out way
4,
later than we do too. So
yeah, and if we go till midnight or something like that, I'm not asking these people that have been working all day to then drive home.
Right.
So we then implement hotel rooms. And then the final tier is anything over like 3.5 hours of travel. So now we're talking the Traverse City, the Petoskey,
Right.
the Grand Rapids, Muskegon, Chicago, Cleveland, that kind of an area. Where now we do literally, I always just look at whatever the U.S. government mileage reimbursement rate is, and that mileage, I think it's like 69.5 cents a mile right now, or
It's
something
like
right around there.
72 and a half now. It's
72 and
way
a
up.
half, yeah.
Yeah.
So that per mile times the number of people, so each person gets paid that,
Right.
plus a hotel room. And we double up. We put 2 people per room to minimize the number of rooms. But
Right.
and then that's a total pass through for us. The way I pay my people is they get that mileage reimbursement rate at the number of miles, and then they're responsible for getting themselves, because we have 9 people in our band. Now the crew takes the van that I own, and I pay for the gas and that, so they get a slightly different rate. But the musicians, they can carpool if they want. They
Right.
can each drive separately. They can but they have to cover their own food per diem and their own, wear and tear on their vehicle and
Right.
mileage rates. And then I just pay them that money and let them choose. So that's like, we have like 3 tiers that we do. And I read in the comment sections a lot of the Facebook groups that like people have no idea how to charge for travel or when to charge for travel. I've always thought it was pretty clear, like if you would go to work, if you would get a job in a city and you would drive there, even if it's a long commute, I'm not
Right.
charging you to travel. If you would get a job, like some office job, but realize, no, we have to move for me to take this job, so I'm not driving every day, then that's something we would also charge for travel for.
Right.
The farther you go, the more it's going to be. So that's how we do it.
Cool.
I want to go back a little bit. Jesse, our boy, Jesse Spielman had a question. Says, I have a question for Mike. How do you
Uh-oh.
balance great coverage without photo and video becoming too much production and becoming intrusive?
Great question. We are cinema ninjas.
There you go, Jesse.
Hide in the shadows. I think I kind of see it like this. So as the photographer, you have a little more responsibility in like navigating and coaching people through the portion of the day. So you wear a little bit of the planner hat, you're a little bit of the bridal party, and the videographer is right there with you. But usually, you're in cahoots with them. So it's like, okay, hey, just have them hold that shot a little longer or whatever. So, if it's working with my team, I generally just kind of lead the whole day. And then we bounce back and forth and do whatever. If it's another crew, whether I'm doing photo or video, it's a little bit different dynamic. But I see the photographer kind of leading, kind of just like shepherding people around to get the shots, to get the groups to follow that timeline. And video is right there with them. Every once in a while, they kind of take the lead a little bit, take the reins. But, it's not about the photo or video, it's about capturing their day. So they have their day planned here, there, and wherever it might take you. You want to capture that, but you want to also make sure that you're getting some awesome shots there too. So I always say like our kind of method is really like coaching, not posing, because no one just wants to like stand in a rigid something or other and connect. But every once in a while, while you're photographing a group of people, they're all going to look at you and go, what do we do now, Mike? And then you say, hey, awesome light right over here. Let's go over here. We're going to get the bride and groom here or the couple here. Gals there, guys there, do this. And then it kind of denatures naturally. And then you can capture that. Sometimes you do need to, like if they're just totally lost or a little bit inebriated, you need to step in a little bit more. But yeah, it's all about just kind of gently leading them and letting them kind of have some fun too. So if they have ideas, you go with it. Sometimes it's not the best idea. You're like, let's do a shot over here. Okay, let's do it. If it's not going to derail the whole day, what the heck? Why not? We'll see what happens.
Gotcha.
And then you get to push your creativity that way. So awesome question.
There you go. Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate that. And with that, that's going to wrap up our topics for this week. That's about right. We went about 45 minutes. We usually want to stick it to underneath an hour. This is super fun. I am so excited to, kind of keep growing this and maybe, get a little deeper, get a little more real, get a little more controversial, get some debates going, some healthy debates, get some more people chiming in the comments.
This is fun, man.
Yeah. And then of course, this podcast will be now uploaded to the Event Guys Detroit YouTube channel. Mike, now you and I will share stuff to try to build it, but that'll be like the central hub before we put stuff. So every week you and I are going to do this.
Every week.
Next week we're going to talk about crowd control without being bossy. both as a photographer, videographer, and MC. You kind of touched on a little bit of a lot of
Yeah, a
that.
little bit, but this
Um,
we'll dive in. There's a lot more that you can talk about because
yeah.
there's a lot of opinions that go into weddings, events, corporate events, whatever it is that you kind of have to crowd control sometimes. So
Yeah, and to tease that a little bit, in both instances, again, you shot video at my wedding, so I was the groom on the party bus between and I'm excited to let you talk about that because you have such a great way of like being fun and charismatic while getting people to do what you need them to do because it can be a hectic time in between, and then I'm looking forward to talking about how like as an MC, I have to manage the
yeah,
flow of people from one part of the night to the next and getting them into one room and the next room, and doing it again charismatically and interactively. So we'll talk about that.
right.
Uh, Aunt Tina, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate you. And then, hey, Connie, I see you out there too. So I'm looking forward to growing this. Mike, a super fun time as always. I love you, brother. We're going to have a great time getting this going. And then if you're watching this afterwards, put a comment wherever you're watching it and
Also,
subscribe to us and let's have some
like,
fun.
subscribe, smash that like button.
Bam!
Also, hey, quick shout out to Noah. Awesome, thank you, Noah, a buddy of mine who works at Echelon Front. So awesome, good to see you.
There you
So
go.
thanks. We'll see y'all next week.
Yeah, we'll keep working on our technical stuff, make sure this gets better and better. But yeah, man, fun times.
And if you got topics too, did we say that? If you got topics, ideas, things you'd love to hear more about, or just hear us blab on about, maybe even, let us know. Send a message, send a text, give us a call. Looking forward to hanging out virtually with you.
there it is. All right, Mike, I will see you next week, buddy.
Sounds good, Derek. Have a
All right.
great afternoon.
Later.